Hello, colleagues. Dr. Chris Cooper from Standout Docs. We've been talking about burnout, the signs and symptoms of burnout, the major causes of burnout, and how that makes us feel like we're in this whirlwind every day. So today's goal is to try and figure out, okay, how do we step outside of those forces, that chaos that we feel like we're in every day? Because as we know, as we learned last time, staying within those signs and symptoms and stressors all day long can lead to burnout, moral injury, and even worse than that, it's creating this huge healthcare worker crisis called the Great Resignation. So Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and somehow expecting a different result. So we're likening that definition to our whirlwind, doing the same thing like we've always done, because that's the way we've always done it in healthcare. And how do we pop ourselves out of that, even from the short-term basis? This will be a long discussion over several trainings, but today we're talking about us as the individual. So as we talked about last time, the second major stressor that we're subjected to as medical professionals is our programming. We're workaholics, we're superheroes, we're stoic with our emotions, we're autonomous lone rangers, and we're Energizer bunnies that just don't stop. So we think, well, geez, all you have to do is just recharge those batteries when they run low, like, right? The Energizer bunny, he can do that. We just put new batteries in, and off you go. Well, it's not quite that easy. Because first of all, when have you ever stopped working, and when have you ever not taking your work home with you? Because we never stop caring. We never stop thinking about our patients, and even on weekends or vacations, the mind is always just going, and it's more difficult than just recharging those batteries. So in fact, burnout is our great awakening. We've got to figure out that it doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't. We just need to find a different path. Look at this beautiful scenery. Find the path that works best for you. We can choose the one that's full of roots and stumps and rocks and stones and all kinds of obstacles, or we can find a path that's clear, best practices, and one we can more easily follow than what we've been on. That's what I'm interested in, because it's time to create more meaning and purpose in our lives. So we're going to examine our lives, because a life unexamined is not a life worth living, and Socrates coined that centuries ago. So we're going to look at the pathophysiology of burnout today. So there are two main things we have to do. It's just like managing your own bank account, right? If you want more money in your bank, you have to stop spending. You have to lower your stress and your energy drain going out of your body. And you have to increase the amount of deposits that are coming into that account. Increase your ability to recharge your energy. So we're going to liken that back to the original definition of burnout. There were three main categories. The fatigue and the exhaustion correlates with your physical bank account. Are you giving your body enough time to recover? Or are you running on full lactic acidosis and muscle tension and soreness and muscle spasms and trigger points and everything else that you just feel completely exhausted? You can't sit in that chair anymore. I mean, your traps and your shoulders and your upper back are killing you. Been there, done that. Secondly is the personalization, the sarcasm, the cynicism, the blaming, the compassion fatigue. That correlates with your emotional bank account. If everything's feeling flat, you're not operating very well. The third one is the lack of efficacy. You feel like whatever you're doing is making no difference for anyone. It's your spiritual bank account that's gone by the wayside, and you just seem to have lost your mojo, your spunk. And people notice that. You don't have to say a word. You can see it in your colleagues, you can see it in your family members, you can see it in complete strangers. So that on top of focusing on your why. Why did you go into medicine in the first place? Recall those stories. I remember mine when I was a little girl, growing up on the farm. I always wanted to help all the animals. Watched my grandmother die of cancer. I felt so hopeless, so helpless. And I just knew that was something I had to do. I had to learn how to help people. It became my purpose. I knew it was work that would make a difference. And I knew it was meaningful, not only for myself, but for those that I was serving. If we can remember that, the reason we went into healthcare in the first place, rather than all the stress and the strain, the whirlwind that's going on all around us, that can fill all three of our bank accounts all at the same time. My husband was really good at this one. He could get me going again with one statement. He'd grab my hands first thing in the morning and say, "Still gets me today. Take good care of the babies for us." And no matter how badly I felt leaving for work that day, I'd cry all the way to work, but boy, was I ready to go. So find yourself a mission statement, something that can pick you up in the middle of your lowest point and get you going again. For me, it was take good care of the babies. So we've all heard the phrase, physicians heal thyself, which we're not always that great at doing, because our own personal self-care is usually what goes out the window first, because we're so busy taking care of everyone else. But again, it correlates back to those three definitions and your bank accounts, which is your physical bank account. How are you doing with emphasizing and taking care of your proper nutrition, your exercise, your rest? Secondly, your emotional bank account. Are you hanging out with the people that you love the most? Taking care of your relationships? Participating in the hobbies, the things that bring you the most joy? Or did that kind of fall by the wayside as well? Thirdly, your spiritual bank account. Are you engaging in your faith community like you so love to do? Maybe for you, it's re-engaging in your personal development plan, leadership development plan like this one. Maybe it's starting a side gig. Not something that's particularly stressful, but something that brings you joy. You don't want to add to your stress, and it may not bring you a lot of income right now, but it could be related to your current career focus, or it may be something completely different, like a cupcake baking business, or construction, or writing that musical piece, or painting that amazing, panoramic artistry work that you've always been wanting to work on. Think about what brings you the most joy and how to go about reigniting your own passion again. So back to the business about work-life balance. We think of it as a problem that should have an easy solution, but what we know is it's not a simple problem, such as what is 2 + 4, with a simple solution of, 6, and on to the next problem. It's a dilemma that requires constant balancing of the extremes. So in this example, our extremes are your energy burn and your ability to recharge. And you got to find that fulcrum, that point of balance for yourself, so that you have time to not only deal with your daily whirlwind, which takes up 80% of your focus, but also work on your wildly important goals, which should take up about 20% of your time. So you can have something to look forward to, something to work on, something to help move you forward in your life. And that requires a strategy. So we have these dilemmas that we deal with every day, our work-life balance, and we need strategies in order to do that. So what we're going to talk about next is there's 2 types of strategies to put on each end of that fulcrum. First is organizational strategies, of which you feel like you may not have a lot of control over. And then there's the individual strategies, of which we're going to start talking about today. So the organizational ones, otherwise known as the coal mine, everyone in that organization is part of the strategizing team to solve the problems together. And then there's the canary in that coal mine, which is the individuals that call out the problems, call out the issues. And in the example of the canary in the coal mine, they'd take a canary in with them, and the canary would always sing. And as soon as he stopped singing, he knew, the coal miners would know, that it's because the canary was being overcome by the noxious gases in the mine and they needed to get out. It's the same thing in medicine. If us as the canaries are doing a lot of squawking and trying to bring things forward to our coal mining teams, we need to listen to one another and we need to work together. So we won't be talking about the system strategies today. That's a whole new topic. That's whole module 3, talking about inspiring your organization. We're talking today about the first step of individual strategies and mindfulness and resiliency and things that we can do in a moment's notice as you're got your hand on the door to go into that next patient room, as you're ready to go into the next procedure, into that C-section. Or how do you get your mindset when you're leaving work and you're going home and you got to put your work down and think about your family, or coaching your son's little league game, or going to your daughter's recital, or whatever it is, spending time with your significant other. So resiliency, personal resiliency, and the definition of that is the ability of an individual to respond to stress in a healthy, adaptive way, such as personal goals that are achieved at minimal psychologic and physical cost. These resilient individuals not only bounce back rapidly after challenges, but also grow stronger in the process. Doesn't that sound great? That's what we're here to do. Bounce back, maybe not quickly, but we'll do it steadily and be stronger for it. So the first technique we're going to talk about briefly is mindfulness, and there's many techniques available out there on the internet, and you can research the ones that work best for you. And I'm certainly not going to claim to be a mindfulness coach, because I'm not. But a very simple one is called the squeegee technique. Or those of you ladies who were trained in your OB practice, or were fortunate enough to have children, you learned how to take a cleansing breath, right? You remember that? So the first thing is you got to stop and you got to notice when you're feeling stressed out, when you're distracted, you're upset, you're not fully present going into that next room. You're still thinking about, something bad that happened earlier in the day, and you're mulling over that. You just need to stop yourself, pause, breathe, become the eye of the storm, calm, cool, collected, and focused, so you can move on to the next task. So how do you do that? For me, I like to imagine myself in beautiful, my favorite places. For you, it might be imagining you in your music studio, or in your art studio, or making, your favorite construction project, or whatever it is. Things that bring you peace and joy. Put yourself there. Mental imagery is a tremendously powerful concept. And then start your breathing techniques. Ladies, you know how to do this, right? Take a big breath in, relax. Take that big breath in and hold it. 1, 2, 3. And exhale. 1, 2, 3. You may do that several times if you have time. You don't have to make a big scene about it. No one even has to know you're doing it. You can do it in your mind, just to calm yourself, focus yourself, while you're thinking about, okay, what's the next thing I need to do right now? I need to stay focused and fully present for the people that I'm going to serve right now. And then put a great big smile on your face, say, that's better. And off you go. Give it a try. If you do it consistently and give yourself triggers throughout the day, whether it's going from room to room, or meeting to meeting, or surgery to surgery, what have you, try this. And I think you'll find that it really helps refocus and rebalance you, so that you can move on to your next task, giving your undivided attention. Another technique is journaling. And it's the power of a list that can really help us focus our brain. Because we're gonna work on a list whether we want to or not. We work on it in the shower. We work on it all night long. We work on it where we're driving. And we try to say, okay, I got to remember that. We got to remember that. So the point is to write it down. For first thing is write it down. Make your list, whatever it is. Scratches of paper, napkins, in the cafeteria, on the back of some order sheet somewhere in the OB ward or in the surgical suite, wherever. Just anything to write it down. Stuff in your pocket, but have a journal at home to keep track of these things, and then just kind of sift and sort and prioritize them. Maybe you like to put in Word documents or Excel spreadsheets so you can move things around and make it a priority for yourself. And then as you work on them, as your brain is able to process through them, you find yourself going, oh, and you notice a sense of achievement, kind of some pride that, wow, I got a lot done this week. Look at that. But make sure you tell somebody. Tell your significant other. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell a best friend, and take them out for lunch and really enjoy their company and celebrate your wins. That's the most important thing that we as physicians forget to do. We forget to celebrate our progress. And we're not talking about perfection here. We're not talking about getting it perfect. We know that's an oxymoron in and of itself. But just celebrate your progress, one little baby step at a time. And as you tick off your priority list, really notice how that makes you feel. The next is, in addition to celebrating those things, really make a practice of gratitude and expressing gratitude, not just in your own mind, but telling people or writing people a note about how they made you feel. Again, another super powerful technique to really refocus your mind. And it doesn't only just help you, it can really help the recipient of that letter of gratitude. And we know, science has told us that it helps elevate our mood, and not only our mood, but our health, our blood pressure. Lots of statistics show it generally helps physical things, not just our emotional state. So write things and celebrate things that went well for you this week. And celebrate things that maybe didn't happen. It's called the reverse differential diagnosis, things that you see in your office every day. Celebrate the things that you haven't been afflicted by. Thank goodness. That can be a point of gratitude for you. Ask your team what they're thankful for. What do they want to celebrate? It can be work-related or personally related. And celebrate those things. Count them out. Have everybody make a list of what they're thankful for. Count on 1, 2, 3, and then give a fist power pump. Yes, 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 for every celebration. And you find that people will love coming to their huddles, and that's the first thing you do, and that really lifts everyone's spirit right off the bat, first thing of the day. You can end the day that way too, to really recognize your team members for all the hard work and all the things you got accomplished that day. Great way to recognize and celebrate each other. The last technique we're going to work on is creating your own ideal job description. Wow, doesn't that sound amazing? Creating your own ideal practice, your ideal life. Well, we'll have to wait till next time for that one, because that's a pretty big topic, but I'm super excited to share it with you, so stay tuned till next time.